Oh, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King Leo Show. How's everyone doing tonight? Feel like I look rested. How's everyone doing, man? We have. Well, I guess this is a pre-show, so we don't have to talk about the main show yet. Make sure the audio's okay. Oh, good evening, everyone. Well, perfect. How's everyone doing? How you doing, Eves? How you doing, J Boss? We have to talk about this Karmelo Anthony thing. I expect that it will be easier to get people to call in. This is a very emotionally charged trial that ended today. This young guy, Karmelo Anthony, is getting 35 years in prison for homicide, which is pretty crazy. But the reactions have been pretty interesting. And I'm not saying crazy, good or bad. I'm just saying this whole situation is pretty crazy, if you'll indulge me and agree. Especially the reactions. Reactions have not disappointed. It has been pretty ridiculous, honestly, man. I don't really like to talk about this kind of stuff. Feels like a family fight, you know. The American whites and the blacks, they have a certain rapport. They know each other more. So I added some stuff, but this is definitely a racially charged trial. It's an interesting trial. I really am looking forward to. I want to hear from J-Boss, man. Dude, if you can call in tonight, I'm doing well, man. And Eves and Spring, but J-Boss, I think you kind of called this whole thing with the racism rising. So, you saw that one, buddy. I did not see that coming. But I'm not blaming anyone. We haven't given any opinion on this trial. I honestly don't really have a strong opinion on it. So we're going to talk about all that. But how's everyone doing? Did everyone have a good weekend? Yeah, we still have a minute. I'm going to have to leave next week for Melbourne, Florida. Thank you, J Boss. I appreciate it. I'm interested in what you have to say. Because I have to go do something. Dude, I'm tired but also happy because I started I told you guys that I'm doing this Algebra 2 review. Finished the review. Finally at the actual lesson. This Khan Academy is amazing. So it's pretty cool. I feel good. I don't know why we lost everyone there for a second. I gotta tell you, the Wi-Fi in South Florida has been spotty since yesterday. The Wi-Fi and the Ethernet. Because we had a tremor, basically an earthquake, which we never have. And ever since then, I've noticed that the Ethernet and the Wi-Fi hasn't been great. I don't know what that would really impact there. But, All right. Monkeyland, you better call in if you're with. I want to hear from everyone. I want to hear from the Anthony supporters. I want to hear from the Metcalf supporters. I want to hear from everyone. I'm really here just to hear everyone out, let everyone air their grievances, all right? Everyone needs to talk. But fair warning from the start. I don't want any slurs. I don't want anyone against anyone, okay? We want to keep it kosher. We want to keep it nice. I know it's emotionally charged. We want everyone to be nice to each other, okay? It's all right. There's no reason for that. You can make yourself clear. You are articulate. You are intelligent, no matter what side you are. All right. With that, before we get into the show, our normal entry, I want to catch up here with Graham Platner real quick, who we've been following on this show. Just a couple of videos here that are interesting here, just to show you the continued support from the voters ever since these scandals happened.
I like him a lot. I want any fucking Democrat to get elected. Any Democrat to take that fucking moron out of the White House.
Now, what do you like best about Graham specifically?
That he's more liberal than I am. I want somebody to take it in totally other direction. We need a fucking battle. Because this son of a whore's asking for it. And I love to fight.
I really want to visit Maine after this, except for Tucker Carlson. That's the only thing that keeps me from booking the flight right now. I'm scared that I'll run into Tucker Carlson.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Imagine you're enjoying some delicious Maine lobster at a fine establishment and Tucker Carlson walks in and he's yelling at his alcoholic brother, allegedly, about the demons that attacked him in his sleep, and you're sitting there and you go, motherfucker, why am I, this is the worst, why are you here? You know, but these Maine heads, these Mainers, as I've learned they're called, they seem pretty, they seem to me to be real McCoys, real Americans, which is weird because Maine always strikes me as like this laid back state. And this guy just wants a fight. This guy should be in charge of the DNC if the DNC cared at all about, you know, trying to win. But they don't, obviously. I love this spirit. This is the fighting spirit. I haven't seen this in America in a long time. I mean, people, when you ask them who's a real fighter in America, they'll tell you something like Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott, he won't even stand for the flag. How could he fight for this country, you know? Some of you got that. But yeah, it's interesting to see the Mainers, what type of people they are. Let's continue. We have over here, this is Graham Planter. This was an interesting proposal. Let's listen to what he had to say here.
If I had my way, elections would last 2 months. They would be publicly funded. And if a billionaire looked at a TV ad the wrong way, we'd put him in jail.
Sensational.
It is the Chinese century. It is. We have Democrats saying that billionaires need to go to jail. That's what he would like. What he would like is to go full Xi Jinping on their ass. Put him in jail for looking at the TV wrong. Listen, we're getting there whether we want to or not. I'm going to start another YouTube channel at my producer's insistence. That is, I'll let you know when it starts. By the end of this arc, this life that I have here, I am going to be so fractured with dissociative identity disorder and schizophrenia from starting all sorts of personalities online that I am going to not know who I am. It's going to be like Werner Herzog asking Hulk Hogan, are you Terry or the Hulkster? And he goes, I don't know, brother. I don't know who I am anymore, brother. You know, that's how I'm going to be. Alex the Mechanic is on Facebook now. So we're growing here. All right, let's continue. And finally, I had to show you the first disappointing thing that I've seen from Graham Planter before we get to Schizo Watch. Let's see this here.
If the Democratic Party is going to exist, it needs to become the anti-war party. I fucking love this place.
I don't know why you want to go to the Senate.
I think a lot of people in this country would like to see more regular people in politics. And most people in this country have gone through some form of transformation throughout their lives. They've not been living perfect lives all the time.
What do you say to someone that says, oh, Ro, I agree with Graham's policies. I'm glad you're going there. But you know, after the stuff coming out, my granddaughter. What do you say to someone like that?
If you believe in transformational politics, you need to believe in the ability for people to transform. And I came out of the infantry at a time where, like, you sucked it up.
Were you getting help or?
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Shut up, man.
Man, listen.
You ain't got to say.
Why are you talking? Isn't Ro Khanna too busy regulating the tech companies and trying to arrest Queen Elizabeth for the Jeffrey Epstein files or something? Why is Graham Planter? Listen, I like this guy. He's a chaos candidate. I pray for more wind. Great stuff. Why are you talking to the schizo dealer, the head schizo dealer of the Senate, the HSDIC, head schizo dealer in charge? Why are you talking to him? This guy reverse Midas touch. He better wash his hands when he's done talking to Ro Khanna. This man, we've seen him over the course of the show. Look at the grift of this guy, hopping like the village bicycle, hopping. People hopping on and off the row kind of, no, it's like the reverse village bicycle. It's the guy who rides every village bicycle on Thomas Massey. Ooh, I love riding Thomas Massey. That's what Ro Khanna was like. And now that the clout is going away because he lost, oh, now I'm wearing the quarter zip. Oh, now I'm a sophisticated guy. Bitch, you were yelling about how they're eating the children 2 months ago. You sound just like QAnon. And now you're going to sit here and pretend everything is normal. It is not normal. Send this man to prison. Get him out of here. Let's start the show. We begin with Andres Tate, one of my least favorite people. One of these people, I can't stand Andrew Tate. I look at Andrew Tate and I cry. Let's see what this animal, what slop he's serving up. From Russia. If you watch this earnestly, which I can imagine some people do, I don't know who, maybe like 15-year-old boys. I don't know, dude. I don't know what these 15-year-olds are doing these days, dude. When I was 15, I was out there smoking pot, getting into trouble, skipping school, taking the train downtown, doing jack shit. Because it was fun. But nowadays, these 15-year-olds, they're over here watching. This would be less gay if it were two guys banging. I mean, look at how gay this is, actually. I want everyone to look at how gay this is. Look at this t-shirt. This reminds me of these t-shirts that Drake used to wear that are a little bit too long. The skinny, I bet the people watching this are like, you can see his print. You know, they're really analyzing it. Double necklaces, and I know they're diamonds. They look like pearls. You look like Milo Yiannopoulos. He's posing for 15 seconds. 15 seconds smoking here in the Cartier sunglasses. And look, I love to smoke the AP on, obviously. I love to smoke a cigar. I really do. I love it. I don't really post myself smoking because it's performative if you post it. It is not real. Badralardian knows it's not real, okay? This is gay. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. It is natural, okay? It is natural. But I think that it would be more respectful if Andrew Tate posted two guys banging instead of this. But it doesn't end here. Andres Tate has that's not it, okay? How you doing, Jen? He looks insecure. I agree. J-Boss says, totally agree. Some guy posing and smoking couldn't be gayer. Cannot be gayer. Liberace is turning over in his grave to come out of, not come out because he came out. Did Liberace come out of the closet while he was alive? Or was everyone still pretending he was straight by the time he died? That's for the old heads. Look, Liberace is trying to claw his way out of his coffin to go over here to Andrew Tate and say, Andrew Tate, teach me how to be gayer. This is what we're doing. Top 5 LGBT icons have to be Lindsey Graham, Ricky Martin, and Andrew Tate at this point. This is how it is. This is how it is. But what else is our man doing out there? Oh, let's check. Oh, this isn't gay. This is masculine. This is very cool. This is very cool. Okay, this is very cool. Let's watch. Let's watch. There's guns. Very cool.
I'm rolling.
I'm almost ready.
2, 1.
Ready.
Vladimir Putin, if you can hear me, I know that we're not friendly. I know that I don't like you very much, to be honest, man. I don't like you. But you can do the funniest thing right now, dude. Strap a Z on his chest and send him to do the strange love thing, man. Send them to the front lines. If you love the Donbass so much, get your ass on the field. Vladimir Putin, dude. Vladimir Putin. This is going to be a morale boost for the troops. It's definitely going to, dude. Andrew Tate is going to be making everyone feel very good. You know, if you know what I mean. You'll be dodging drones, but you also have to be dodging Andrew. You know, he's going to be busy trying to smoke a cigar to get to his Bugatti. I mean, would there be anything? Let me make a pitch here, sincerely, to Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, would there be anything more masculine, more based Chad, Alpha, Omega, Sigma male than if you enlisted in the Russian army to go conquer Ukraine? Wouldn't that be Andrew Tate, brother? Andrew, you can do, Putin shouldn't even send you. You should be doing it because, come on, this is so cool. You should so do it. Andrew Tate, please go fight in Ukraine. That would be so cool. I hope you don't run into John Kiriakou.
Do you waterboard him? Do you sleep deprive him? Do you put him in a cold cell? Do you beat him? Do you put cockroaches on him? Do you put hummus up his ass?
Speaking of John Kiriakou, America's friendly unk, America's fabulous unk, the greatest storyteller, raconteur in the country. Where is Unk? Where is this Greek guy? I have a feeling I've never seen Jamie Dimon and John Kiriakou in the same room. I think that Jamie Dimon is doing this because you know he's actually Greek. I've said that before, but you better remember, I think this is like a side character, okay? I mean, he's doing like an Alex the Mechanic thing with John Kiriakou, Jamie Dimon. Has to be. There's no way. Who is Unk talking to this week on Russia Today? None other than the famous, the infamous, the Floridian postulator. Is that a word in English? I'm doing a calc from Spanish. What is that called when you postulate for public office? The postulator for public office in Florida, the man trying to take down Randy Fine, the man who will not sleep unless it's with a dime. Dan Bilzerian, let us see the level of mental rot in our country.
You built your public image around luxury, around risk-taking and personal freedom. You're very, very big on transparency. So how does that translate into governing? Let's say you win this race, and you've got a good chance of winning this race. What do you do then on your first day?
Well, one thing you left out was hedonism, which is not something I'm super proud of.
I count that as personal freedom.
Yeah. Look, I went to the end of the earth with those paths. I think I realized that it probably wasn't the answer. Well, not probably. It definitely wasn't the answer. And so, yeah, I think now I'm focused on trying to have a positive impact. And I think having that experience and not caring about those things is very important because I think a lot of people do. A lot of people want to be famous. A lot of people want to get the hot girls. A lot of people want to do all the things that I did. And only in doing them can you realize that it's not as great as you think, you know. Yeah. And I always compare it to heroin because heroin's going to feel good, but it's not the answer. And so I think I won't be corruptible like other people will. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, what you need to have in order to feel safe about a candidate. I mean, that's what we thought we had with Trump, right? Because, oh, this is a rich guy. He's not going to do it for the money. And then did it for the money, you know? Yeah. And so, I think there's a very few select people that have had all these things and that don't continue to care about them. And I think that will help you with your judgment because if your judgment is focused on what you can do for yourself or how you can achieve your dreams or how you can get that dream lifestyle or that hotter girl or, you know, whatever, then you're going to be more of a selfish mentality. And I think that's the problem with our politicians today is they're focused on what they can get as opposed to, you know, I mean, it's kind of like JFK, you know, not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for.
Sensational.
I love living in Florida. I have no idea what the fuck he just said. I literally have no idea. Friendly Greek John Kiriakou asked him what he's going to do in Congress. And he's talking about JFK and the money and how Trump didn't do what he said. What the hell are you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
The voters in Florida, we are blessed with, dude, we are the future of America. We're really living idiocracy here in the funniest way. Like, you can't really be mad about it. It's not like California, which is the most beautiful state. But however, you know, it has its problems. In California, you get frustrated. You're like, I can't set up my solar panel. Bill Maher loves to complain about that. Over here, we're just like, I guess we have a guy running for governor who's calling the other guy a slave and a tether. And we have a guy running for Congress who says he's running for Congress because he wants to defeat Israel and that JFK said to do it, and that's why he's doing it. Okay, excellent. If this had happened 40 years ago, it'd be like a Ted Kennedy moment. You know, when they asked Ted Kennedy, why do you want to run for office? And he was like, he didn't really know. Oh, I don't know what I said. But nowadays, I think we've been beaten down so much that I gotta tell you something. Randy Fine is more articulate so far, Dan Bilzerian. I gotta say, Randy Fine needs to hire someone to do rhymes because he has the best rhyme. What are you gonna rhyme with Dan Bilzerian? Anna Kasparian? No, that doesn't work. Dan Bilzerian, Anna Kasparian. No, but with Randy Fine, you're like, Randy Fine is not gonna dine on your dime. Like, yeah, there's so much to do there. But yeah, we have the fat guy from Kentucky running for Congress. We have the Playboy running for Congress. Neither of them really know what they're talking about. The fat guy from Kentucky is telling us that he's going to ban Muslims from owning dogs or something. And Byron is running for office because he wants the tech companies to buy Florida. And Jaime Wetback, my best friend, my Hispanic brother, is calling people slaves and shit. So I don't know. I feel like I'm living in 2060 over here, man. We're going in a great direction. All right, let's continue. And no, J-Boss, I don't mean candidate. I mean, like, you know, in Spanish, postular. How do you say that in English? I'm going to look that up real quick. Postular in English. There has to be a word for it. To postulate. It's a real word. I knew it. This is one of those words like rancor that I don't think exists in English. And you look it up and it does exist. Yeah, it's postulate. I got it. I beat you that time. All right. How you doing, audio-wise? Let's continue. What else we got here? We've got, speaking of stupid, speaking of our country going to hell.
Netanyahu, if you can hear me, drop a bomb on this building.
Let's check in on Stephen A. Smith, who I will remind you loves to beat little black children, as he said to Bill Maher. What does he have to say here?
You want to talk about IQ? I could say I put my IQ up against yours any day of the week. I could go one better. I could ask you why you've been running from me the last year since I've wanted to talk to you. I could ask you to debate me since you think you that dude, okay? We can go a myriad of ways with all of this.
You can't say dude if you're going to do this.
Say the N-word, go on.
Just say it. Just call him the N-word. Just do it. Just do that. You might as well.
But I'm not going to let you off the hook because none of that is important. I do appreciate the fact that you called me a nice guy because don't tell anybody. But I actually am a very nice guy. Until you tug at me a little bit. And then after that, I got to show my other side. And my other side came out last night when I recognized that businesses that are accustomed to being patronized were compromised by you because you showed up. The crowd that surrounded the Madison Square Garden and its surrounding areas, you compromised. I thought you were about the economy. I thought you were about helping New Yorkers because you love New York. I thought you were about making money for people. What happened to the parking garages? How much money did they make? What happened to the local restaurants in the immediate vicinity of Madison Square Garden? How much money did they make? We know you've made a lot of money. We know you keep making money. But have the New York Knicks benefited? The answer to that would happen to be no. This is a sports show, so I won't go any further than that other than to say Brunson played better when you weren't there. Mikal Bridges played better when you weren't there, Josh. Karl Anthony Towns played better when you weren't there. Landry Shamet played better when you weren't there. The crowd was festive, hyped, and more intimidating when you weren't there. Businesses were thriving before you showed up. Parking garages were being fed before you showed up. There was noise reverberating off the walls of Madison Square Garden before you showed up. And this is what you've done. I thought you were a New Yorker, Mr. President. I thought you cared. I thought it mattered to you. Gotham City, the New York Knicks, the erasing of a 53-year drought. I thought that mattered to you. Evidently it didn't. And you know how we know?
All right. That's enough. My response to this is we're going to add this to the soundboard. My favorite spiritual leader. My producer loves this guy. Dude, Muslims love this guy. My producer is a Muslim background. He loves this guy. This is the response that we should have here.
The top VIP of the Goyim are called Hasidei Umot HaOlam. Remember this. Who fall into this category? A Gentile that keep the 7 laws of Noah. He loves God, is faithful to God, and fulfill his obligation in life as a Goy. That automatically make him a righteous Goy. And when he die, he goes to heaven of the Goyim.
When everyone passes on that identifies with this, that's like, oh, Stephen A. Smith he was really cooking there. Don't worry, it's going to be heaven of the Goyim. It's going to be awesome, dude. You're going to get up there and there's going to be like foam fingers and the NFL. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I wish I were this stupid. I really do wish. Sometimes, dude, I don't know what's keeping me from walking into a psychiatrist and telling them, hey, can you give me a lobotomy so I can relate to the average American? If I had a lobotomy, I think life would be a lot easier, actually. With a lobotomy, I'd be in goy heaven, walking around like a goy, smoking the grass. I mean, that's what my spiritual leader says here. We are living in, I don't even know who he's running against. Trump is not going to be running next time. He's too zesty. Everything Stephen A. Smith has done has been, every time I use my device, my phone, every time I use my phone and I see Stephen A. Smith come up, I have to put this down and go wash my hands because it's fucking disgusting.
You can't do it. It's disgusting.
This is I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I don't know what to tell you. Great stuff. Amazing. The country's doing great. It's doing great. Who gave Stephen A. Smith the idea to run for president?
He could only have gotten that idea from Benjamin Netanyahu. That's it.
Let's continue. We have over here, this is very interesting here. We have 2 of the most relatable people in America. Dave Rubin in English, and Jillian Michaels. Very interesting here. Dave Rubin is gay, married in Florida, and has 2 IVF babies. And Jillian Michaels is a celebrity trainer who became an actress and then became a political commentator and has an adopted black baby, and she's lesbian married. 2 of the most relatable people in America. But what I mean by that is that I think everyone knows someone like this that's like one of these 2, you know? Because I'm not talking about like, a gay guy. I'm talking about, a gay guy like Dave Rubin, a rich guy who has been on progressive media, conservative media, and now he has his IVF babies in Miami. These are super relatable people. Amazing stuff. let us check in on these two who have to talk to us about Jubilee. And I think I may even agree with Dave Rubin here, actually. That's why.
And I honestly believe several of them would have killed me if given the opportunity, truly. And you all know my guy Joey, who works for me, and he said to me after, he said, Dave, I made a choice halfway through that if one of them was going to attack you, I was going to get involved. Because that's the level of tension. Like, I could feel the daggers coming at me. The ones that, mostly they had horrible scowls on their faces, but the ones that smiled at me actually seemed like the most dangerous because they were like Joker smiles.
And the weird Joker smiles, it was so distracting and so unpleasant. You can't have discourse. I don't know how you pulled it off.
You know, truly, to sit around 20 people that have nothing but hatred for you. Like, there wasn't even I tried my best. I kind of didn't want to do it because I've just been through enough versions of the internet and dealt with the hate and the whatever. My team really wanted me to do it. I was like, you know what? I'll give it. I'll do it. Whatever. It's not a big deal. I tried to say, I'll show you a little respect to start this thing. They offered nothing. For 2 hours and 55 minutes, I think I did a very nice job. I did have one blip moment where I kind of blanked on something, and I fully grant that.
David, that sounds ridiculous. Come on, man. This is a free man talking.
I actually love this. I actually think this is great. And you're going to be like, oh, King Leo, what the hell are you talking about, man? That Dave Rubin is an idiot.
Say the M word. Go on.
He looks, I know Dave Rubin is not that smart. I know. Do you think that I don't know that? Okay. I know he didn't do great on Jubilee, but what we've preached on this channel since it started is that we don't debate, because debate is stupid. And Dave Rubin is telling people not to debate here. This is not a slave.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
This is someone who recognized that whether he lost or won, the format does not work. And this is the first brick in the wall, for any Pink Floyd fans out there, that I see in the collapse of Jubilee. It is about time that Jubilee collapses. Nothing. Jubilee probably allegedly led to the death of Charlie Kirk. I'm just saying, like, if he hadn't gone on Jubilee, he might be alive. But Jubilee has hypnotized America.
We brainwashed out here, bro.
Into thinking that it is productive. It is not productive. It is getting a bunch of idiots like Dave Rubin and children to fight about, I don't know. Dave Rubin should not be on Jubilee. He's completely right. Dave Rubin should be at the gay nightclub on Miami Beach, leaving his husband at home with the kids and then taking his hot date to the Versace mansion. That's what Dave Rubin should be doing. Otherwise, why did you leave LA if you're going to go back to debate? Oh, only a master debater would do that. You should be at the bisexual nightclub on Miami Beach, Dave Rubin. You should be there. I don't know what you're doing, thinking that you're going to go back to California to fight with teenagers. What is wrong with you? And I'm very glad that he admits it. I'm very glad he says, you know, he still has to save some face. I don't know if Dave Rubin has a little bit of that shame culture, some East Asian in him, which is fine. He has to say, you know, I did good. Dave Rubin looks a little bit Chinese sometimes. Chinese Dave Rubin can't hurt you, but mommy's standing right there. You know, it's Chinese Dave Rubin. But I'm glad to see him concede, say this was a bad idea, and implicitly telling people don't do it. Especially telling someone like Jillian Michaels, who did this stupid debate, and I had to hear about it for 2 weeks, to convince fat people to blah, 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 not be fat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let's move on. That's enough. We'll save that for tomorrow. To the next segment, and then I'm not gonna edge you guys too much tonight, don't worry. And you guys and gals,
the people are retarded.
Okay, actually, I put this in the wrong category. We have to watch it here. I wanted to show you this. This is what the UFC is now. I want to show you this clip I see here from the Hodge Twins podcast. I don't understand where this is coming from, this confidence that a lot of people have who, ironically, a lot of them seem to have brain damage. You know, a lot of people who were in the UFC or wanted to be a Navy SEAL, not naming any names, but, you know, if you fight in the UFC, you probably have some sort of undiagnosed brain damage. I know Dana White's not taking care of your ass. This is, let's just play this out. You tell me what you think this is right here.
I tell you right now, fuck you, Ben Shapiro. I'll beat your ass. And look, if you mess with Candace Owens, I promise you, if you lay one little greasy finger on Candace Owens, I'm going to beat your ass. I'm going to roll up on you, shirts off. I'm going to have the twins with me. We're going to beat your ass because you mess with Candace Owens. We're going to be looking shirts off, me in the middle. We're going to look like a 6-foot-tall Oreo coming at you, buddy. We're going to stomp your ass to the ground. Don't you mess with Candy, baby. I'm telling you right now, I don't like Ben Shapiro. I'll say it to his face. Bring him on the show. Because he wants Christian people in this country that he already steals their tax dollars off of. He's part of this corrupted government. He's a piece of shit just like the rest of them. He wants us to go die to bomb Muslim kids for his Jewish people because he's too scared to do it. How come Ben Shapiro, since he's all about this war, how come he don't sign up for the army? Because he's a bitch.
Yeah. I'm very.
I wonder if you are anti-Semitic, which I'm not. Do you think this is like a good representative of your ideas? Because I look at this and I just...
Technically, according to the strict law of the Torah, not one Gentile in the world deserves to live.
I'm like, dude, Christoph, send the nuke, man. What is this? I don't know. If it's performance art, it's very funny. But I wonder if this is what it was like watching the SA or something, you know? Where you're like, dude, these guys are just beating people up in the street. J-Boss says, I'll take every rep I can get. No punching right. All right, you know, that's your view. A UFC fighter threatening Ben Shapiro with violence, with an Oreo of violence. I don't know, man. I don't think that this plays well for achieving. But you know what? I could be wrong, and J-Boss has been right before, and I've been wrong before. We'll talk about that tonight then. I wanted to break this down here. This is very, very interesting. You know that I don't like Sneeko. I think Sneeko should be exiled.
Shut up! Be quiet before you get exiled.
I have talked about how stupid this person is several times on this show. This is one of the dumber people in America. And I think he has poor character as well as being stupid. And the reason that it's important to talk about him is because I can't tell. Sneeko seems to be somewhat important politically. He's clearly being used by the Russians to spread Russian propaganda. I think all of Sneeko's fans are probably in Brazil or something. I don't know. Where do they live? But you know when you go on someone's page on Instagram or Facebook and you're like, why are all these comments saying Pakistan #1? Or why do they all say Ethiopia #1 or Brazil #1 or Mexico what is this? What is this? Okay. Sneeko went out here. We know he's stupid. All right. We already know that. It's fine. It's okay. But I wanted to show you why it is impossible. Why, whenever I hear men cry like little babies. That's right, run. I can't find the girlfriend. The reason that men are in trouble is because of other men. And I don't mean it in that feminist way, like mattress girl. I mean it in this. We're about to see. Let's look at this interaction here that Sneeko had with someone who allegedly works for him.
Let's start a chant.
Go ahead, you do it.
Let's free Chud. No? You can't do that one? Any other ideas? Who is this? Guy's such a fucking Jew, wow.
Introducing
This bitch looked over here and smiled when I'm reading a chat saying, tell the fat Asian she's not mocking.
Now, that's enough to understand this. Obviously, this person has brain damage. This person is an idiot, okay? But what I've noticed with men, okay, is it is getting harder. And this doesn't really come out until you are in a social situation. If you are boys with someone who is mentally stupid, like this young chap here, which shouldn't be a problem for Sneeko because he's also retarded, right? Then you're boys with them, right? You are boys, you're friends. That's cool, right? But what people do in public is this. Let's analyze this frame by frame here. We see this lady here is with her man here, I assume, this African-American gentleman here. And Sneeko's friend here is saying, Sneeko, let's start a chant. Obviously trying to get attention for the stream or whatever, right? Or to be funny, you don't know. And as we can see here, this dismissive look immediately. And you're going, Sneeko, what's wrong with you, man? Why are you looking at your buddy like that? Your buddy's just trying to make this more profitable for you. Otherwise, why else is he there, you know? But then we have a darker revelation here, which is that we have, and this is why I hate The Office. First of all, we have the Jim Halpert stare into the camera slop that you will catch older Zoomers and millennials doing all the time. Like, get a load of this guy. Dude, you look like a retard. No, this is, okay. But then watch this here, watch this. This girl looks back at him. This is an A and B conversation. This has nothing to do here. And even if his friend is completely in the wrong, Sneeko should not address this. Why? Because this is your friend. This is the person who is there to help you, who is there with you. They are being either paid by you or are there for friendship. Why is this lady here looking at you for judgment of your own person? And let's see this here. He looks over. Interesting. All right. And that's one time, you know, he's noticing that she's looking. She looks away. Jim Halpert, get a load of this guy like you're in a cartoon. She's laughing. And then he looks back at her when she's not. Look, if you, dude, I'm telling you, man, this is every guy. Every guy. This is at least 30% of men. This guy is beyond the dumb. This is a snake. I don't even know what to call it. And I think this is worth studying for the sociodynamics here, where no one at this point, it's very hard. I have friends that matter to me because I have fashion friends. You know, I wouldn't be caught dead hanging out with Sneeko, but this is the average experience now for young people, where no one really has friends. I mean, and these are the role models, right? The role model, the example being set here is that you can clown and trash your people in order to impress someone else. It doesn't even have to be a woman. Okay, nothing wrong here, but this usually happens around the ladies. And I don't even blame the ladies. It's not their fault. It's his fault. This is a hell that men are enduring at the cause of other men. This is why you must abandon shame. You must abandon guilt. This guy felt ashamed after he did this. We cannot go on like this. This trope of the guy who shits on the other guy to make himself look better, At this point, we all know it doesn't work. Everyone knows it doesn't work, whether in dating, politics, anything. It doesn't work. So this needs to, I don't know how you solve this, but you need this, dude, I see this happening all the time. This is why I felt it was important to show. I've never seen it on a stream. You usually see this at a bar. This is sick behavior. This is the behavior of this is, where's our clip? Where's our clip?
I always wonder how dumb this goyim sometimes can be.
Why would you behave this way? You're not elevating yourself by putting someone else down. And by the way, this is an encapsulation of how the world works. This is where all insecurities come from, where every sense of shame and guilt comes from. And you just imagine whenever you feel shame about something, you know, when your brain tries to make you feel ashamed of something that happened like 10 years ago, just imagine Sneako's face here. That's what your brain is doing to you. If Sneako looked at you like that, would you respect it? You wouldn't. And this applies to the ladies too, because I know that ladies are vicious amongst themselves. You cannot allow this to eat at you. And that's why I thought it was important to show. J-Boss says, sorry, I had everything says the Knicks making it to the finals was the worst thing to happen in NYC. Dude, I'm not rooting for the Knicks, dude. I'm not going for you guys. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I literally turned it on last night just to see if the Spurs would come back, and I hate both of them. I hate sports, but you know, this just disgusts me. It disgusts me. We're gonna talk about the Knicks. Actually, we're talking about it right now. Let's check in on the Knicks. I hate everything. I want you to please confirm if this is what's happening on the ground over there. Okay, that's one angle. What else is going on? That seems a little violent. Let's check over here what happened to this older black gentleman.
Take it off me. I'm going to get one of y'all. Oh, shit. Fuck. Come on, pussy.
I'm just, listen, man, I love New York, but I hate being there. I'm going to say it, man.
Netanyahu, if you can hear me, drop a bomb on this building.
What is wrong with you people up there? What are you guys doing? What is this? This is not the conduct of Americans. This is the conduct of British people, actually. This is not, I know a lot of people here are going to be like, oh, King Leo, look at the color of their skin. And I'm going to tell you, no. The people I have seen behave like this are white as the lily snow in the UK. Those are the people that I see who behave this way. This is not an American way of behaving yourself. There's a reason. Didn't George Washington write the Emancipation Proclamation to win World War I against the British or something like that because they did a tax on the OnlyFans? Why are we behaving like a bunch of British people? I'm calling for an end to all British immigration to this country till we can figure out what the hell is going on. I've never seen outside of England perhaps the most rambunctious Argentinian games on the Rio Plata. This kind of behavior should be ashamed. You should be ashamed beating up an unk because of his shirt. What's wrong with you? What are you, a Leeds fan? A Manchester fan? This is America. Americans, what do they do when their sports team loses? They like burn cars or something. They're not beating each other up in the street. There's no NHS here, bitch. No one's going to save you. Disgusting. Disgusting. Everything confirms this is what it looks like. Let's let that was our last one. Cool. We would let another one play. That's interesting, man. Spring says San Antonio is the Olive Garden of major city. I've never been there, Spring, but I believe you. All of Texas seems like a fucking horrible strip mall. For my buddy who's from there, he's like, dude, I hate it there. I hate it. It's the worst place in the world. He has family there for like 100 years. He's like, it's the worst place ever. And he's American. Okay, he's not like Mexican American. So he can say that. Okay, I know some people are like, oh, you can't say that because you're not really from here. You know? And everything says, I would have banned all the watch parties. Go watch it at the bar with family and friends. The thing is, your city is so shitty. I shouldn't say that, okay? I shouldn't say that. I was trying to smoke a cigarette outside of a bar in New York once. And this 200-pound bouncer apologetically came up to me and he said, hey, yo, bro, you gonna have to move 10 feet that way to smoke the cigarette. And I was like, dude, but I'm drinking here. And he goes, bro, I can't even help you, man. It's not me. It's that Bloomberg cat. He fucked it all up. You got to go stand over there or I'm going to get a ticket. And I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, I don't want to get you to move. I would like for you to stay here, but I'm sorry, they going to ticket us. And I was like, I understand exactly what Nelson Mandela felt like now, actually. Being told to walk to smoke my cigarette. I hate the New York bars. They're terrible. They're fun inside, but you can't smoke. You can't do anything. Everything says, this is why I avoid large gatherings in the city. Because the city, the only people in the world, the city. No city. Because I know people don't know how to behave. What is it Tim Dillon says? That's just life in the big city. No, you can say I take no offense. Listen, man, Miami sucks too. I'll say it. But New York has its problems. All right. I think that's enough edging because I'm sure people want to call in. Let's catch up with everything that's going on, okay? We're going to talk about, again, because we have more people. The phone lines are going to be open in like 10 minutes after we cover the Carmelo thing a little bit. I don't want any slurs from anyone, whether you're a Metcalf or a Anthony supporter. You keep poise. This is the King Leo show. This is not the gutter KKK 96.7 AM station out of, I don't know, fucking New Brunswick, Ontario, because that's where the FBI set it up, okay? This is a dignified show. We are going to be nice, okay? Let's start here before we get to Carmelo properly. This is Chud the Builder. I wanted to show you this. He's actually on trial. I wanted to show you this because to give you some fruit picker wisdom. My mother always told me, she's a lawyer. How does the fish die? By the mouth. Makes more sense in Spanish. Fish dies by the mouth. Be careful what you say or write. Tell people that. They don't listen. Let us watch this here. Let's see how these tweets read when it's not some 14-year-old reading it, but it's actually a prosecutor.
2016, this is 6 days before this event. Chud the Builder posts on X. I will defend my life with lethal force. Do not approach me with intent to threaten bodily harm. And then he posts another response to himself. Series finale is dead chimp on the pavement and you monkeys rioting when I walk free. Stay tuned.
Why are you in our country? You need to go back.
I don't know where to. Yes, it doesn't. It's not the same when a prosecutor reads it. Okay. That's our only update for now. I hope they televise this trial. I don't know if they are. I want to watch this. I wanted to watch the Anthony one, but because I watched the Rittenhouse one live, dude, that shit changed my life. That was the craziest thing I've seen. Whatever. Let's get to it so we can get calls. I wanted to show you because this show, the undercurrent is that there's a rise in racial tension. Okay, there's racial tension around the world. I want to show you this. The French are doing a White Lives Matter rally. This is very odd because the French would never be caught dead doing something in English like this. So this is really an American export. You know, with tariffs, the only things that don't get tariffs. With a trade war, the only things that don't get tariffed are ideas. So we see this here. Let's play a little bit.
Violé et assassiné dans le bois de Boulogne. Mathis, 15 ans, tué à coups de couteau lors d'une altercation.
For those that don't speak French, they're naming the names of people who have died. The last one died by knife. And putting flowers here where the White Lives Matter rally thing is here.
À la machette lors d'un racket. Axel Dorier, 22 ans, renversé et traîné sur environ 800 mètres. Mélanie Lemay, 25 ans, fauchée lors d'un refus d'obtempérer.
J-Boss says the French whose word for chewing gum is chewing gum. That's not the word for... Listen, maybe it's because I saw it too academic. I haven't spent much time in France. Why would I? The place is terrible. You been to Paris? It sucks. Disgusting. Always wanted to go to Haiti to practice my French. And right when I was going to buy the tickets, like 2 years ago, I was informed that barbecue had taken over the island and was eating people. And I was like, I'm not going to Haiti. Anyway, the Académie Française, l'Alliance Française, does not endorse the use of Anglicisms. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. But, you know, they do say that regardless. Or kif, they got that from the Arabic. Let's see over here what the Spanish are doing. Everyone is... Dude, it's like a Halloween costume fest all over the world. Let's see what's going on over here. The Spanish are mad.
Hace una semana hemos podido ver el vídeo de la vergüenza. El vídeo en el que un joven europeo de nombre Henry Novak era detenido por la policía inglesa después de haber recibido hasta 4 puñaladas por un indio en Southampton, Inglaterra.
Now, what I would say that's weird here is that he referred to an Indian guy from India as an Indian. Where in Spanish, you're not supposed to, but we call them Hindus, not Indians, which was very odd to hear because to us, the word Indian refers to Mesoamericans. Very weird for any of the linguist people, okay? They're mad on behalf of Henry Nowak. This was another gentleman who was killed by a Sikh, I do believe, which is odd. You don't really see much Sikh violence except on Halloween when they're blowing up the Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. What?
Haber recibido hasta 4 puñaladas por un indio en Southampton, Inglaterra. Después de las varias puñaladas, Henry se desplomó en el suelo. En un país en el que un Estado sirviese al pueblo y no a los invasores extranjeros, la policía habría auxiliado.
All right, so here are the Spanish, you know, mad about something in England. All right, you know, that's going on in Europe. What else is going on? We have over here, I can't show this to you, nor would I. This Sudanese guy tried to cut an Irish guy's head off. I'm not exaggerating. He tried to cut a guy's head off. Terrible stuff. And tonight, people are burning the city down. are supposed to be migrant dormitories or something like this, you know? Okay, and this has happened today in Ireland. This is the backdrop of the racial tensions going on across the world, which is important for us to talk about to understand the world. Look at this. They're just burning everything. It's crazy. Okay, this is these Irish, man. The Irish, they know how to make a car bomb, you know? Look at this. Just they're supposed to be migrants that sleep here or something. They burned it down. Crazy stuff. All right, that's our backdrop for all this. Let's catch up with the chat. J-Boss says, damn, look at all the symbols. Spanish go hard. I think that's so LARPy, personally, but, you know, that's just me. And Hindus are the religion. No, yes, it is the religion. Indians is correct. They're from the Indus Valley. Yes, it is correct. But you won't, I don't know if it's in Latin America or something, but in Latin America, no one would call an Indian guy an Indian guy. They'd call him a Hindu guy, which I've heard Indians get mad about, actually. As more Hispanics have met Indians, they're like, oh, you're a Hindu. They're like, I'm not a Hindu, I'm a Sikh. And you're like, sorry, dude. We call Indians the way, we like our Indians the old-fashioned way, like Columbus said, us, you know? So, all right. This is what's happening today. Karmelo Anthony, this young gentleman here, I guess not a gentleman, a young guy here, stabbed a young gentleman, young guy. I want to keep it neutral, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. I want to keep it neutral. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm just setting the context for anyone that's tuning in. This guy, around last year, stabbed a guy with a pocket knife that he had in his bag. Apparently what happened is that they were at a track meet. The other guy was white, and it was raining, and they were under the carpets. The fucking todos. Dude, I'm like in Spanish mode today. The fucking, I didn't even go out much today. The thingy, the rain thing or whatever, you know? This white guy goes up to him, Austin Metcalf, and he's like, Carmelo, you have to leave. He doesn't say Carmelo because they don't know each other. And he's like, I don't have to leave or some shit. And then he comes up to him again and he's like, you need to leave. And he says, touch me again and see what happens. And he touched him and then he pulled out a knife and stabbed him. Now, I will say this is my only opinion. Okay? The awning, correct. All I'm going to say is this. Okay? I think a large part of this responsibility here is on Hollywood and the Marvel movies. The fact that this guy said, touch me again and see what happens. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. There would have been a larger likelihood that he gets away with this to the chagrin of people that supported Mr. Metcalf. But I'm just saying, legally speaking, if he had not used a Marvel line, touch me again and see what happens. You sound ridiculous. You sound... And by the way, this is my first rodeo, okay? I was like 12 when Trayvon Martin happened, okay? And I was in the state where it happened. So don't try to come at me. You think that this is some real shit? I saw the Trayvon thing live, okay? All I'm saying is that was ridiculous. That's a larger problem. But anyway, there's a lot of racial tensions. There was not a single black person on the jury, which people take issue with. I don't really know why. I don't know how this is supposed to be solved. I'm not a fan of jury trials personally, unless they are class segregated, but that's never going to happen because we're not English. There were Hispanics, Middle Easterners, and Asians and whites, which count as people of color, is my understanding. I am a people of color as a Hispanic, even though I was told I was a white passing people of color. I don't know, okay? But people were mad, and after this was announced, he was given 33 years. There was tension leading up to the trial. Let's see this here. Look at this. Look at this. Look, this is a guy mocking.
The judge as well in this case said it was not a case about race, but you cannot deny.
America is an insane asylum here. I don't understand how this works. None of you are related to these people, is my understanding. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I am not brown. I don't count as brown. Dude, I don't do the brown thing. I hate that label. I'll take Pac over brown. I'll take the S word over brown.
What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point?
What? I'm lost for word. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin. Let me ask you this right now.
Do you know what is so... Listen, and I gotta say something here because, listen, I don't understand this about the black community. And listen, I'm not... I love the black community. I really do. This doesn't strike me as the case to hang it all on. In my opinion, it really doesn't strike me as that one, okay? I don't... Listen. In the Hispanic community, dude, when that Venezuelan guy killed that girl, I was like, hang him now. I have the rope right here. And it's not because I'm,
Oh, coons, we want to have fun. Oh, coons, we want to have fun.
It's because you want to save this for when it counts, for when there is some sort of discrepancy, when you could maybe win the court. I'm just saying, doesn't strike me as the case to hang it all on. I don't really get it. The one time I remember Hispanics and largely the Cuban community was standing behind someone that a lot of people wanted to put in prison was this Cuban truck driver that had a crash in Colorado. But it kind of wasn't his fault. He killed someone, a family, I think. But it wasn't his fault, really, because the signage posting was bad. And there was a maintenance issue with the truck that he did not own. He was contracted to drive it. And a lot of people were like, dude, you can't put him in jail. A lot of people were like, the family were like, you got to put him in jail. And they were like, guys, but it's tragic, but he didn't do it. That's the only time I remember Hispanics being like, oh, because it's with Hispanics, it's like 1 every 10 years, 1 every 15 years. It's like this one. But then it's like, dude, this guy has face tattoos that say MS-13 and I kill people like on it. And we're not going to stand up for him. It's not going to. But in this case, I'm not saying that this Karmelo Anthony kid was a violent kid. I like to defer to the jury here. The jury said he was guilty. The jury found him guilty of homicide. I don't think it's time. His family gets to be like, oh, this is, we're gonna appeal and all that, but I don't think as a community it's the smartest decision. These are 2 kids at a high school and one of them stabs the other one. At the most basic level, why does he have a knife at all in a high school? If I had had a knife on me when I was in high school, and my mom found out, I would have been praying for a bullet. Are you kidding me? I had everything says, I blame Al Sharpton, brother. That's a wizard right there. That's a wizard. This over here, as we can see how the tensions escalated, this was falsely circulated as Carmelo Anthony's mother, but is actually a YouTuber who streamed this very irresponsible rhetoric.
I'm okay. I just got worked up. I'm all right. Anyways, I came here to cover a trial, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna give y'all a quick update. We only have a little bit. So far there has been 3 witnesses. The first one. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm surrounded by Black Panthers right now, so they protecting me. So the first witness was a 17-year-old who goes to Centennial. I'm sorry. I'm gonna come back.
Very emotional. I don't understand this. You're not related to this person. I don't really get it. I don't know if I'm just autistic. I don't get it. You know, I know that AA, shout out to AA. He talks about Abyssinia. Maybe I don't have that. Dude, if you're Venezuelan, Chilean, American, and you do 9/11, I'm not going to be standing up for you, brother. I'm not going to be doing that for you. I'm sorry. Why is this? The emotions here are riding high here. This is again another angle here of this man here, and I don't understand. This country's going insane.
See that? You're not gonna do shit with a man, and we see that. But you're not gonna do shit with a man. I'm not gonna do shit with anybody. That's weak. Fuckhead. That's weak. Fuckhead. 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 That's weak. You cannot do shit with a man. We see.
Okay, and you know what? Since it's almost, it's not almost time. We'll play some of these in the background. Let's open the phone lines because I feel like this is like a family fight more than anything. You know, black people and white people, they've lived with each other a lot longer than us Hispanics have been here. Let's open these up here, and the Discord, of course, to hear from the audience because I'm very curious as to what everyone thinks about here. Let's see. Let me put the number up and all this crap, man. I don't even know how to feel about this whole thing, man. It sucks, dude. It sucks the guy died, you know? It's not cool. It's not good to die. Obviously. Let's open these lines up here. We got one of them. Let me call now. There we go. All right. And while we do that, we'll wait here. I know J-Boss is going to get on here. And Jen said she was going to call in. Let me do that here. Just call in. Let us know what you think. I'm very curious what people think about this whole thing because seeing these emotions and the rise of racial tensions all over the world. It's all over the world. That's what's really surprising me here. It's all over the world. It's not just in America. It's in Europe. How are we going to live with each other? It really is falling apart. And, you know, if things are falling apart, we got someone calling in. Let's check it out. Hello? Hello? Let's see. Who is this? I can't hear you. I don't know if you're muted. Let's see here. Don't know who this is here. Interesting, because we haven't had any issues with this thus far. All right, they left there. Let's see if they call back. I think that it's getting harder for us to live with each other. You know, it's not getting any easier. And you'd expect, I think the economy has something to do with this to an extent. Even these trials are not as open, not as openly, they are not as inflammatory as they were before. You know, history first is tragedy, then is farce, right? You know, we had OJ, then we had Trayvon Martin, then we had this trial here. It feels like these trials keep happening. And they had kind of gone away for a little bit. Oh, someone's calling in. There we go. Let's see if this works here. Hello? Hello? Let me see here. 1 second. Maybe it's on me. No, it's not on me. Doesn't seem like it. Can't really hear the person, but I see the sound waves moving. What's going on here? Oh, hang on 1 second. Ringing, speakers. Oh, hang on 1 second here. Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you. Who is this? How you doing?
This is Spring.
How you doing, Spring? What do you think of this whole thing? Sorry about that, buddy.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I want to bring up a bigger picture. I was looking into this because I thought that 35 years was kind of an odd number. Normally, you know, you get murder, you get 25 years or you get life. And I know I looked into it and they said that there was no hate crime addition to this. But I'm kind of thinking the jury added 10 years, without telling anybody for that, So I'm wondering about that because my own feeling, and I think the feeling of conservatives in general, is that hate crime is a horrible thing because it ultimately leads to hate speech legislation, which is basically we consider that a violation of the First Amendment. So, and it's just this creeping idea, plus the idea that it really, to me, I know technically it isn't, but it ends up being like a double jeopardy issue where like someone like O.J. Simpson, basically, whether he's guilty or not, he is found innocent. And so then they find some other way to get at him with a civil case. And in some cases, what happens is if somebody wins and becomes innocent at the state level, then somebody brings a federal case against them because the hate crime is a federal offense. And so to me, that's like a double jeopardy situation. So even if this guy had been declared innocent, somebody could have brought a federal case against him, and he'd still have to spend years worrying about, his freedom, et cetera. So that's my point of view.
I'm confused here because I see what you're saying here, and I didn't know they convicted him of first degree. How do you get 35? Isn't first degree, like you said, 25 to life or death in Texas? It's so odd.
It turns out the AI tells me it's 25 to life, and it's dependent on the jury. The jury didn't have to assign the sentence. They could have given it to the judge to do. But I guess in Texas, the jury can decide that they want to assign the number. It's just like in a civil case. So it's kind of interesting in Texas law. I don't think it's the same in, California where I'm in, or maybe Florida where you're at. But it's a kind of an interesting thing there in Texas.
Now, I will say your hate crime concern is interesting because I'm not sure if this is, not that I'm saying that it's a hate crime or not, but even if this is a hate crime, right? Our hate crime is criminal and civil, right? I mean, do these people even have money that you would go after if you're? Why would you even sue this family civilly?
Yeah, I know. And the thing about it is, it's probably more like you're saying about this this kind of silly line. This Karmelo Anthony was going after, touch me again or whatever, but. It's probably more of a dude versus dude kind of thing than black versus white.
Right. Okay. So that's what I really want, especially because you're in LA, right, Spring? So, or California. Sorry, I don't want to dox or anything. I don't know if you're old enough because I'm old enough to remember Trayvon. I don't know if you remember OJ. Does this compare? You also had another perspective on Trayvon than I did because I was a kid. But like, how does this compare in terms of energy and galvanizing the country? Because I feel like online this was big, but I don't know if this was as big as Trayvon or OJ or any of these other crimes of the century of the past.
No, I think it's going to die out pretty quick. I mean, again, when people realize it was just essentially a bar fight in a stadium more than anything else. Somebody brushed up against somebody in a bar, and one guy was drunk and took an offense and blah, blah, blah kind of thing. If that's where it turns out to be, and people are going to make a big deal out of it. But, somebody had mentioned in the comments Sharpton, and there was a very famous case in New York. I can't remember her name.
Tawana Brawley, right? Yeah, I think.
Yes. So people don't talk about that very much. They didn't really bring it up a lot when, they had the situation with St. Floyd and other cases as well. So people kind of forget these things. You had the Jussie Smollett and all these other cases that kind of screw things up because it looks like they were false flags in a sense with regard to racism. And the silly things like that black NASCAR driver who thought someone had put a noose on his garage door when it was just a loop to help bring down the garage door and stuff like that. I mean, all these things, they just kind of overplay them, and at some point people say enough is enough. We've seen this before. Let's move on. And in Texas, it seems like they have common sense. They just said, look, this guy murdered this guy, didn't have a real reason for it. You know, even if he could say that he was dissed or whatever, you know, being dissed is not enough a reason to kill somebody. And you know, they gave him an interesting, I guess someone saying 35 years is actually something that people tend to do when they want to go halfway between the lowest and the highest possible penalty.
Okay. I guess my only concern is, and maybe it's my synthesis of the situation, it does seem like racial tensions are rising on a global level right now. And I don't, you know, the reason I know that this case is not what people on the internet make it out to be, not in terms of the facts or anything, but it's because I remember the Trayvon case and I've seen images of the OJ case. You know, some people got angry. I didn't see white people going out doing like the Austin Metcalf memorial party or anything. This feels kind of forced, the whole outrage, because like you said, to me, honestly, I look at this and I go, how did this guy get a knife into a school? Like, how is it's always in Texas that this happens, where that school shooting happened and the cops don't go in there and the school doesn't do anything. Where is the school responsibility in any of this? This is what I don't understand, because these are two high testosterone young guys, and I'm not excusing anything. How does this even occur at a school? How is this possible?
Well, I mean, you have the two extremes where you have these schools where you're going through metal detectors and all sorts of stuff, and it just seems like, and we have these schools that have recently been built here in my area, and they look like prisons. And you wonder if these kids are being, what do you call it, socialized for their future in a prison. You know, they just say, okay, we know these kids we're not going to be, you know, we're taking all their jobs away by data centers and AI. So we know they're going to end up on UBI. They're going to end up, you know, doing something and get bored, and they're going to commit crimes. And they're going to end up in prison. So let's make a high school that looks just like the prison they're going to end up in. You know, that's what it looks like right now to me. It's kind of crazy. But, you know, and all this, you know, going through gates and stuff when you go on an airplane and all this ID checking and stuff. And now they're going to put things in cars where they check your eyes to see if you're drunk or not when you're driving. And it's, I mean, we're talking about, you know, the surveillance state, like people are worried about. And they're just getting people ready, you know, for where we're all going to end up in privately run prisons doing, you know, menial labor for our betters.
I have to say, I learned this weekend. I've been doing some stuff that's related to education. So I've been going back. This is what really bothers me here, is that people, because like you said, I'm not a fan of school at all. I think school is actually pretty damaging in America at this point, and it leads to these kinds of situations. But regardless, I learned something very interesting, which is that Bush, with this No Child Left Behind Act, kind of guaranteed that stuff like this was going to happen. Like, he set the stage for this 20 years ago by basically making it impossible for schools to get rid of problematic students. And nowadays, I have to hear conservatives like Chris Rufo crying about how public school is so bad. Yeah, you guys did it. It was the right wing of America that did that with George Bush. And I don't think these schools are going to get any better. I think it's just going to get worse. I think all of this stuff, all this really does, I think, is make people pull their kids out of school. They either go to homeschool or some scam charter school. And the country goes on. It just gets dumber and dumber. That's the way it works.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but if you go on YouTube and you see these white teachers telling you why they quit being a teacher, it's almost always about problems with the behavior of the students. You know, they feel threatened, or the students won't give up their phones or whatever. And if you have teachers of color, it's always about not being respected by the administration and not getting sufficient pay, and because, you know, they can the students will relate to them, and they won't act up as much in class when, you know, it's one of theirs that's teaching them. But yeah, you know, so if you force these kids in and you can't kick them out and you can't punish them, you cannot
punish them. It is basically illegal.
You can't take a taser to them or anything like that. That would be, you know, ultimately not hurting them, except, you know, temporarily. If you can't do that, you know, my own feeling is you have to have a series of other schools. We used to have, I can't remember what they called it, but the problem students got stuck in these trailers that were near the Board of Education. So you basically, if you couldn't handle it in a regular class, you went into like study hall, and if you couldn't handle it in study hall, you went to, it started with an R,
like
something
remedial,
kind of
something like that.
Well, not remedial, but it was like, but it was basically like kid prison. But of course, they still didn't beat you up there. They kind of housed you, right? They just kind of kept all the problem makers in a place, and they maybe gave them some books and hoped they could, you know, read something. Maybe, I don't know exactly what it was like, but at least they kept them away from the students that wanted to learn. And they kept them in school so they could still count them as bodies. So they could still get funding from the state. So that was the important thing. But I guess this no child left behind nonsense meant, well, that wasn't really an education. You have to keep them in class, which is bad for them. And it's also bad for all the other students who actually want to learn something. So
I don't know if this applies in the Anthony case, because I know people are being diagnosed with all sorts of learning disorders and all this. I didn't know that this is how it works. I learned this weekend. If you're a child that is diagnosed with some sort of disorder and you're at a school and you do something violent, if what you do that is violent is linked to your disorder, you cannot even be suspended for it. And that is the law. And you're going, yeah, no wonder this kind of stuff happens. I don't know if this guy had a learning disability, but a lot of people have that diagnosed and then they don't get checked and nothing happens. And then this happens and then we're all at each other's throats racially. But I don't mean to be like a Marxist, but I'm like, dude, this system isn't working. This system is leading to this, in my opinion.
No, I have some family members that are autistic, and sometimes it's just a matter of being, you know, unemotional and having social interaction issues. But there are times where it gets to the point where they get violent because they get frustrated. And this happens to Alzheimer's patients as well. As they get older, they get very frustrated and they act out in angry ways. And they actually hit people, you know, people they love, their mothers and fathers and stuff. And, you know, that person should not be in class. That person should be segregated for their own sake and for the sake of all the rest of the class. But if you have these people that say, well, we can't blame the kid. Well, yeah, we're not blaming the kid. We're just saying that this is not a good situation. And there's also like this fast tracking of developmentally disabled people. And sometimes that works if they're kind of like in the 80 to 70 to 80 IQ range, but sometimes they just become, you know, the butt of class jokes, and they always feel like they're not really part of the school. And you know, it's just this idea that equality is, you know, is to be praised above all other aspects, I think has more a downside than positive.
I agree, sir. I appreciate your call. Thank you for calling in. Interesting perspective. You're one of the more measured guys on the show, sir, I will say.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Thanks, King Leo.
All right, man. All right, everyone. That, I'm very glad to hear that Spring always comes in from the middle. I can sense that he's a little bit right-wing, and that's fine. We welcome everyone here. But he always comes in down the middle, like trying to be a fair judge, and I really appreciate that. You guys, the call is on. I guess it was my problem with the settings. I saw that Jen wanted to call in earlier. Let me make sure I have the Discord open. I need to have the Discord open for J Boss if he comes in here. While we wait for anyone calling in, let's check out more of these reactions to the trial. All right, let's see this. This is Dominique Alexander, who was speaking on behalf of the family. Oh boy, what he had to say here. Let's see this. 1 second.
It showed very clearly that a black boy was allowed, not one black soul on a jury. An all white jury convicted him in 2 to 3 hours. We know that they did not prove their case. They are currently sentencing Karmelo Anthony, but we know that the Next Generation Action Network put the first $10,000 towards an appellate attorney. And we will fight Collin County like hell. I respected this process. I allowed and called for peace in this process. But Black America should be very upset about what went on today. Now, before all of the internet lawyers and before all of the interpretation of the situation, I'm only an advocacy leader. I'm not an attorney. I can only help families be able to navigate these processes when they find themselves in this type of situation.
This is ridiculous. This is what I don't understand. You notice in America these days, everyone thinks they're a lawyer for some reason. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not an attorney. You don't know what the case law is that was used for this. This is impugning. In the past, I remember we used to really look at juries and say stuff like, I disagree with their interpretation of the facts, and this is why we're going to appeal, and you would leave it there. But telling all of the Black people in America to be angry about this, and that I'm not a... What are we doing here? This doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how we are supposed to go on as a country, which we probably won't. But with this, the allusion to an all-white jury, brother, it's not even... Karmelo Anthony wasn't alive for Jim Crow. I don't understand. How are we supposed to have juries now? We're going to, at some point, whether it's Gavin Newsom going full psychopath, we're going to need someone to either go Lee Kuan Yew or Paul Kagame on the country if it's going to survive. But I have a feeling that people really, the people in charge, really enjoy this kind of thing, because it just doesn't make sense why you would allow any of this to happen. Spring says, in our district, the troublemakers were sent to reform school. It's funny you bring that up, man, because, and let me catch up with the chat. Everything says the internet has made it worse. I do agree the internet has made racial tensions worse. A lot of people say it revealed things, but I don't really think that it revealed things, to be honest. We always have, every society that's multiracial is going to have issues. And I agree with you. I think it's made it worse. Where is this? This was, I guess this is why this problem comes up with people who have issues with mental problems. I've actually been to this. This was in Mariana. This was a school that ran for 100 years. 100 years in Florida. They were doing all sorts of insane things. A reform school. This is what it was, a reform school. This was closed down like 10 years ago because of how bad it was. They were beating these kids. It was really bad. There's a memorial. And I understand what Spring is saying. This stuff isn't ideal, but I am sure, dude, no one brings a knife to a school. That shows, I don't know, what would it be, like risk-seeking behavior or something like that, that is not tolerated in most public institutions. This is not accepted in a court. If you go to a court and you try to bring in a knife, serendipitously, no, not serendipitously, covertly, you are going to get in trouble. You are actually going to get in trouble. I see Jay Boss is here. Let's get him into here. Jay Boss, how you doing, sir? Hello, hello. Yes, setting up there. E, it's called Slavery 2.0. How you doing, E? If you're new here, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And let us know how it goes. You're on air, Jay Boss, whenever you're ready there.
How are you doing, King Leo?
How you doing, sir? I hear you.
Doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. And firstly, I have to give you your flowers. I have to tell you, and my producer too, because he was hearing when you said it, when you were like, no, racism is here. It's here to stay. I'm seeing this all over the world. I agree with Spring. This is not big enough to be like Trayvon Martin or anything, which was like really racially motivated. But you're in Europe. How do you see this Ireland thing going on at the same time as that British kid was stabbed and this kid was stabbed? How could you see this racism coming?
I see it very objectively from the prism of genetics. I think that the powers that be are trying to instigate a fight with the wrong people to try and put people who are not compatible with the Irish, for instance. These people are Bronze Age people. They have not had any input from the Middle Ages, such as the Anglo-Saxons and the French, to develop more philosophical society or civilization and so on. They're still very much barbarians, as are most of the satellite peoples around these Northwestern Europeans that I just named, the Britons and the French. So basically, what we have, if you allow me to just exaggerate quite a bit in Europe, the civilizational core of Europe would be Holland, it would be the Netherlands, it would be southern England, it would be northern France, and everybody else around that would be barbarians. And so when you put these completely incompatible peoples in Ireland, Scotland is another case because they're kind of accepting them for now, but then you put them in Spain, which had to be civilized by the Romans, and so they're just as barbarian as the Irish. You're not going to get some British politeness sort of please come in this way, please stab me here, please stab me on this other part of my body right now, please. You're not going to get this. You're going to get people with torches. You're going to get people with these very, very in-your-face symbols, and they're going to run towards you. They're going to run towards their enemies. That's what they were known for. The Romans called this concursare, which was the guerrilla warfare that these people fought, that they saw as no strategy whatsoever. They couldn't understand why these people would just run towards the Romans with all of their armor and all of their weapons, but that's what you're going to get. These people, that's why they are banging on these doors and actually looking for migrants to pick up a fight with, because they're not going to just wait. That's not how they fight. They do this concursare. They do guerrilla. They go towards you. They pick up the fight once they feel threatened.
Okay, look, let's say all that is true. You have to admit to me, though, I don't know if we want to get woo-woo, if it's like the Chinese Zodiac or Halley's Comet, or I don't know, dude, if you've seen the Truman Show, or Christoph is messing with us. Why is this all popping off right now? Who's turning up the dial? I think President Trump is partially responsible for this. But why is this all popping off right now? Multi-continental,
It's about numbers. It's about a process that has been going on, I believe, for a decade and a half, maybe 2 decades. And Europe has been seeing that first with these boats, then the abuse of the asylum system, and now with people being put in houses next to schools and so on. And there's no end to it. People think that, or at least they thought a while ago, that they were just helping these people, that then there would be a pendulum and things would ebb back. But then all they see is that this is unending. It's just an unending stream. And then you had that animation that they put on Twitter that 25 million people over the world saw about everyone going to Europe, all of these black little stick figures going to lily white Europe and simply just taking it over completely. And people just don't see it relenting, and they want to take it to their own hands to do something about it.
Okay. Now, in the American case with this Metcalf verdict, this Anthony verdict, it's a little bit more complicated, right? I mean, this is 400 years that these two races have coexisted on this continent. Even I'm like, is this family business? We came a little later than these two getting. Why is this happening here too? Why is, and in particular, I really see, I think in America, I want to do a show about it. Right now we see anti-Indian prejudice, anti-Black prejudice, and anti-Hispanic prejudice, which has somewhat subsided, but they're still growing. I mean, what's going on here? Especially with the Black community, given that Blacks and whites have lived with each other for a long time.
Well, that life has not been fruitful to either party. And I believe that the best of each of those groups would tell you that during segregation, they both had it better, including the blacks. They had their own businesses, they had their own captive customers on the other side of the business, and they had prosperity. They had, going up the ladder of their corporations and so on. Whereas now they have to compete with people that they can't objectively compete with, and that causes resentment. That causes this pent-up anger, and then it becomes violence at the slip of a finger.
Do you see this? I mean, this is a real question, more of, I don't know, like it is kind of a sign or a symbol here. Do you think, I don't know if you followed this case, is this racially motivated, or is every American racial insecurity being projected onto it? Why is this phenomenon, that's not really so much of a phenomenon, but it's still a phenomenon online to an extent. Why is this so big?
So every time that I hear insecurity, there's always something underneath that people don't want to address. And in this case, it's no different. I don't mean to go against you necessarily, but I do believe that this is a misrepresentation of the facts. There is a concept that I want to introduce here, not to be Mr. Academic, because I did not go to university, so please don't judge me that way. But there is a concept called entitativity. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
So entitativity is when we perceive an entire group as an entity and not as a collection of members, a collection of people. So we don't see them as individuals, we see them as a group, basically. That's entitativity.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Okay, so this entitativity contributes and exacerbates to the situation we're seeing here. Now, how? I'm going to explain exactly how, and then I'm going to give you a study that corroborates what I'm saying. When a Black public figure, and in this case it can be anyone, any Black person in this situation that is speaking for Karmelo Anthony, right? So it doesn't need to be public in the sense of famous. That's not what I mean. Just I mean, that is speaking publicly, is being interviewed, and so on. When any Black public figure is defending this indefensible act that was caused by Carmelo Anthony, and it's against a white victim, okay, in this case Austin Metcalf, then the way that this is perceived by white people is not, oh, this is one person defending one case. White people perceive this entitatively. That is, they hear it as, oh, Black people as a group excuse this behavior. And then the consequence of that is making the entire group, in this case, Black people, look worse. Now,
but really quick, J Boss, wouldn't you say that there was a trial? I mean, there is an argument here. I'm not saying I completely subscribe to it. I really blame the school more than anything, but listen, the kid shouldn't have a knife, that's for sure. He shouldn't have a knife. But there is like a legal argument. I don't know how it works, of like self-defense. You know, I think that if people saw that, if they were like, no, look, I disagree with the jury, I think that there was a self-defense situation here that triggered this child who had this knife, but he shouldn't have used it or something. But I don't know if it's what's the defense in itself or how it's being made of Karmelo Anthony. You know what I mean?
So yes, I completely understand, and this cannot be self-defense. I believe that the prosecution argued against that, and one of the arguments was that the most obvious one is that if you provoke, then you cannot use self-defense as an argument, and there was provocation by Anthony, and so that completely throws it out of the window. Then, of course, for self-defense, there must be proportional force. And you cannot be...
No, not in Texas or Florida. Absolutely not. You get to do whatever you want.
No, but it was still argued, though, in the case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The prosecution still argued that there was disproportionate force, and that being non-lethally shoved cannot be, therefore, met with deadly force. Now, the technicalities of Texas aside, this was one of the arguments. Then there was another argument, which was the lack of immediate threat. He could have run away. He could have done several other things. He did not have to engage in this fatal move that he did. And there was an overall argument about a extreme escalation over a minor dispute. So the self-defense is completely unjustified, and there were at least 4 vectors of attack against this
Oh
argument.
man, dude, I don't mean to become a libertarian here, but this is where I get a little, as a
Even libertarian.
as a self-defense guy, this is where I'm like, are we saying we need a retreat and all this? I'm just scared of how this extrapolates. This is why I hate these kinds of cases, to be honest, because they really do where you're like, fuck, dude, this is the worst situation. Same as I talk to anyone in Florida about Trayvon, they'll tell you, listen, Zimmerman should have got off, but he was an asshole. Please don't do that ever, because it just makes everyone look bad. I don't know. I'm not siding with Karmelo Anthony. It's tragic this guy lost his life, but I don't like these arguments you're telling me. I didn't know this was the arguments they made. These are terrible arguments. I hate them.
Well, one other thing I wanted to address, and actually, let me just finish that point that I was making. These public figures, these Black public figures, when they come to defend these indefensible acts, they think that they're going to look better in the eyes of their own group. So in other words, they think they're going to look better for Black people, in the eyes of Black people. But even whether they do it or not, what they do is they end up causing more damage to the reputation of Black people as a whole. And so this is part of why, when you ask yourself, can we live together? How is it going to be in the future? The problem is both sides, but in this case, Black people, they're stuck in this reputational open loop, whereas they always think that they have to defend their own no matter what. And then this ends up damaging their reputation as a group. This ends up making so that white people see Black people more as a group and less as individuals, and it just exacerbates the conflict between the groups. And so we're never going to get out of this situation of conflict between those two groups.
Now, this does open a postmodern question in that, do you think that both parties here sincerely believe and perceive the events as they describe them?
Are you implying that the white party is describing it unfairly?
No, I'm actually more curious because I will admit this is an ambiguous event to me, and I'm not a person who's uncomfortable with saying, I don't know. I don't know. I guess the jury said this. I don't really know. But it seems like people who are saying, he's innocent. He didn't do anything. And I'm like, dude, how do you know that? I don't see how you can know that, But do they really believe that? Because it just reminds me of, dude, in Latin America, this happens all the time where he's in court. He's killed 30 people as a member of the drug cartel. And they bring his grandma on the witness stand. She's like, he was a good kid. He brought me soup. And it's no, what are we doing here? He's a murderer, And I'm just like, are people being too emotional? Do they really believe this? Do they not see how the other side? Is there no empathy possible here? You know what I mean?
Well, I think I know what you mean, but the empathy has run out. It has been a long time, and white people have more and more seen and become educated about these statistics against them, and they have become more educated and informed about how they are seen as this white, opaque group of indistinguishable people towards which anger is then directed so frequently that they don't have any more grace to give to the outgroup.
I meant more so from the other side. You know what I mean?
But then tell me how they're misrepresenting, because I don't see how the white side is misrepresenting anything.
No. I mean, like, when I see this Black lady who's like, he should be free. And I'm like, look, at the very least, we know he shouldn't be free. Okay. He should at least be like in a rehabilitation facility for psychiatric evaluation because he killed someone. What game are we playing here? Like, you have to know, random Black lady or Black guy, that this is not the right argument to make, even if you want to make an argument,
But isn't this the point? Go ahead.
But I'm just like, do they really believe that like it's totally innocent, or because there's a difference between innocent and not guilty. He's definitely not guilty. He could be innocent, but he's gonna have trauma and be fucked up, like at the minimum. What are we pretending here? Like, oh, he should be free right now and he should be in a Range Rover and have a what? Yeah, this is the exact opposite or converse of when that guy Daniel Penny choked out the black homeless guy, and the next day it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hire you. Mark Andreessen's hiring you. And I'm like, What the fuck are we talking about? This is insane. This guy killed someone, whether it was justified or not. This is insane.
Well, in the case of the grandma, I don't think it's pretense. I think it's a fear of being shunned by the group. It goes back to the point that I was making, that they cannot come out as a reasonable party or individual because they think that they're going to be shunned by their group. They think that they're forced by the circumstances to defend all of them, because to them it's as if it were a sort of a racial war that is going on. And so they have to defend their own no matter what. And that is to their detriment, but they don't perceive it that way. They think that because they only care about how they're going to be perceived by their own group. And even though the studies don't say that they're going to be perceived better by their own group, that's how they think. And so that's why they act this way, but it only causes them to be perceived worse, and their entire group to be perceived worse by the outgroup, namely white people in this case. So she cannot help herself. She's stuck in a situation where she has to defend him no matter what. So she needs to come out and say all these things that are completely outrageous. Does that make sense? Does that answer?
The only issue I have is you're saying that this, because I don't understand. She's not even related to him. Like in this case here, why is she stuck in that situation? And this
because by race they're related.
Yeah,
by race they're related.
But I don't really see this from other people. You know, like sometimes I don't know. Maybe it does happen or something. I remember there was a trial.
And so each, go ahead.
No, there was a trial around Rittenhouse where these 3 white guys killed a black guy in Georgia. And I looked at that case and I was like, dude, these guys should go to jail. This was crazy. And I saw some white people online being like, they should be free. But most of the white people were like, no, these guys clearly did something that was weird at the very most and should be in prison for it, you know, at the very least. Yeah. So this is where I get confused, because I see this kind of behavior oftentimes in like the drug cartels of Latin America and all this. Like, he was a good kid or whatever. And this doesn't really make sense to me. I just don't understand where it comes from. You're not stuck in that situation. Yeah, that's a binary you're putting on yourself.
Exactly. They're putting it on themselves because they also see their group as an entity and not as distinct members. This entitativity is not just white people putting that, we want to see all of you as one, onto black people. Black people put that on themselves as well because it's as if it were a defense mechanism, because they think that, together we're stronger and we must put up that front. And if one of us goes against our group to try and be perceived as reasonable, then we're just an Uncle Tom, we're just selling out. And so that's the dynamic that is going on.
That's really interesting, because I understand what you're saying now. It ties into, I heard it from Academic Agent first, like the Abbasia concept, because I hadn't really realized why. I don't know if you know, Abbasia is like the group's love of itself and its story, but not narcissism, right? And he always said like Black Americans have a lot of Abbasia. Are you telling me that like the reason that this doesn't replicate in other groups in the U.S. is because like Hispanics, we can't get along over who cooks the best fish or whatever, so we're always fighting with each other? So like there's no cohesive group. Like,
yes.
And Asians all hate each other too. So
yes,
okay.
And Europe. I mean, we don't need to. I mean, it's a battlefield, right? Europe historically, so they all hate each other as well. We do, and but of course in a friendly way, I suppose nowadays. And so that ends up playing for us to our benefit, both to Europeans and Asians and Latin Americans, because then it prevents this entitativeness. It prevents them themselves. Being considered or considering themselves as one group and not as individuals. And then that allows them to be more reasonable. But Black people, unfortunately, don't have the circumstance to be able to benefit from that.
That is great. That's so interesting, because you often hear from Africans that they're like, the Black Americans don't like us. And it's like, I wonder if there's any other groups like this, because this seems like an interesting model. Like a group that acts in that way, because that's pretty unique as far as it's very modern. Actually, it's not postmodern at all.
No, it's very modern. Can I address something else about the jury before I go?
Of course.
You were saying not a single, or a lot of people were saying not a single Black person in the jury, and my rebuttal to that is that isn't a jury to be supposed to be of one's peers? How is a Black person a peer of a white person?
Oh,
it's not.
The thing is, whenever I get into this, I don't even think that people should. I think I take the word peer seriously. I think it should be your income level, your class, like in Victorian courts. I don't see how it makes any sense. I think the jury trial system, I don't know how this survives the 21st century. There's no way that I can sit on a jury to judge Jamie Dimon. He's a billionaire. Like, what am I going to say about it? What am I going to do about it? It doesn't even make sense. So the peers thing, I've never understood how it's supposed to work. I completely agree. That's what is it? Haas says Anglo worms brain rot. That's just, doesn't make sense.
Well, it's going to continue to become racialized. This jury situation is going to be more and more because that's really who our one's peers are at first their race. And I would say that the whole problem here, fundamentally with this case, is that there's no sense of proportionality in fighting within Africans. And there is this sense within Eurasians, so European and Asians as a whole. And so when you say that the jury had Hispanics, Middle Easterns, Asians, and so on, it does sound like diverse, but to me, they're all Eurasians. And in fact, objectively, genetically, that's the first major human division. It's Eurasians versus Africans. And those two people, they have been put in a situation and a circumstance that they're being forced to live together. But this escalation of racism, as you might put, all over the world is showing that this is not sustainable. And people are starting to realize that.
I don't know if that's true or not, dude, but if proportionality is a white people thing, then I'm African, dude. I don't believe in that shit at all. Proportionality. You break into my house, I am going to go Graham Planter on you. I am not gonna be proportional at all. This is my property. That's the only thing that I always thought it was white. That's why I was like, this is the only thing I'm white about. This idea of self-defense. I don't agree with. I remember I talked to an Italian guy once, and he was like, in America, you can hit someone back, and I was like, I can do whatever I want. He was like, no, that's not fair, and I'm like, fair? Who said anything about fair? This isn't fair.
We have fairness built in us. One last thing before I go. When you said that you need a lobotomy to relate to the average American, may I recommend a wonderful show that I watch every time that it's on? It's called The King Leo Show, and he teaches us Baudrillardianism. And this is what allows me to relate to the average American. And with that, King Leo, I mean that very sincerely. You helped me out to relate to the average American by teaching me Baudrillardianism. And with that, thank you so much for having me on your show once again. I love the show and I love you. And thank you very much.
Appreciate you, sir. And appreciate you and the kind words. And of course, the big man himself, Baudrillard, for liberating our minds.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Nice to talk to you. All right, everyone. That was cool. I guess we still have a few minutes left. Phone lines are open. Jen wanted to get in here. That's interesting. I'm going to look into that proportionality thing. I listened back to the calls to really assimilate what everyone said after. I told Jay Boss that over email. As he said something really interesting last time about Andrew Wilson that I completely missed live. Eve says, you are lucky to get the power to be able to solve all this crap. Don't be evil. If I get the power, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm going to go Stalin on these people's asses, dude. We're doing internal deportations. We're going to make sure. I think that to solve this, J-Boss a little bit more pessimistic on the whole thing. But, maybe if we do that Chappelle Show type thing, we have black people live in white neighborhoods, white people live in black neighborhoods. And then we get, I don't know, maybe that'll help out, I love going into different neighborhoods. I love to, whenever I go to traveling, I'm like, let me go see where the white people live, where the black people live, where the Hispanics are. So I love to see all of them. I see we have new people here. If you're new, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to call in if you're interested. It's a shame that Jen couldn't call in. I think I probably called her a little late. Probably started a bit late. Yeah, man, this is a pretty wild time to be an American. Did we even listen to the audio of this lady? Let's see what this lady had to say here. This is just... Listen, man, and I'm usually not as because what do you expect from the people? You're going to a court case. You're wearing Crocs. You're wearing shorts. You're wearing a tank top. I'm not saying anything about hair. I don't think the hair thing, whatever. And it's not just black people. It's all of Americans. Look at this. Skechers, cut off jean shorts. This lady's as white as the driven snow. Shorts on a man, disgusting.
I don't have an opinion. I don't have an opinion here.
Just like Carmelo was doing. I'm glad you just said that. That's what Carmelo was doing. Protecting his motherfucking self.
You know, if you're that passionate, wow, this is a very beautiful lady back here. This is how people should look. They should get on the Ozempic. They should dress properly. I don't get this. You're not related to. I understand what J Boss was saying, but I don't get it. But yeah, and also on what Spring was saying, man. I'm gonna make a video about it. This No Child Left Behind crap, man. It ruined these schools. See, we used to have these reform schools, like he was saying. These were very bad in some cases, very bad. They had to close the other campus they had near Okeechobee. But dude, this school thing, it's just not working. I don't understand how the school. The school is hurting people, man. I don't think that. When did they go to public school? Let me ask here. Were the schools where the victim and the perpetrator went public? Airdrop buzzballs to pacify. Oh my. Yeah, they're both public schools. How do public schools? They always get away with this. They always get away with this. Two public schools. They had no history together, Eves. None at all. That came out in the trial. This is embarrassing as a country. George Bush is going to hell for this, man. Like, he is going to hell for ruining American schooling. This is, what a sick way of just people in school talking to each other and relating to. It's a failure. It's a system failure. Let's see over here, this one.
Cast it out. Come on, man. Cast it. Give me a hug because all that pain. Because racism holds a heavy weight. Heavy. No, I'm not done. I'm not done. Because ain't nobody gonna stop me. Not on one stop. You better stand with Austin. Because if he falls even deeper into hell. Because y'all want to keep sacrificing that baby. I promise you, I'm gonna wake them all. And I'm gonna make y'all be stuck. And I'm gonna make you clean. You know? You better cast your weight. Cast it. Because baby wanna cast it. But she don't know what I'm talking about. Cast your shit.
What is this? I don't know what this is. I don't get it. And you know what's really interesting? This is something I wanted to be very sure to mention. CCTV sent a gift? I don't know what these gifts are, by the way, CCTV. I would give you the bing, bing, bing. But I don't know what they are, and YouTube won't tell me what they are. I appreciate it, though, if it does anything. Look at this shirt here. This is a Trayvon Martin shirt. This is really fascinating. Trayvon Martin was like 15 years ago. How long ago was Trayvon? Dude, I have a friend whose grandmother is buried next to Trayvon Martin in Opa-locka Cemetery. So I've seen his grave. I dare you to do this, dude. Look, so you can see I'm not lying. This case, you will find people arguing about it every second of every day till now. Look at this. 7 minutes ago, George Zimmerman still killed Trayvon Martin even after was told not to follow him. See, it's never us, because this was, let me give you the exact date. Trayvon Martin. This was, dude, it's 14 years ago at this point. And people are still arguing about Trayvon Martin. Still arguing about it. It's crazy. It's like Obama said, man.
You didn't build that.
I think he kind of did build it, honestly, man. This is, if there's any sort of silver lining in this whole case, which is very sad, it's that these cases have less cultural resonance now. I don't think people are going to be arguing about George Floyd in the future. I hope not, at least. Is RGCV Are you a lib? If you're a lib, we'd love to have you call in, dude, because I want to hear a balanced perspective. You know, we have a couple minutes left. I'd love to hear. Thank you, Jay Boss. I appreciate the super chat. Best show online, the King Leo Show. Thank you so much for allowing me to call in Long the Modular. I appreciate you, sir. And absolutely. By the way, that helps a lot. There is an upgrade I want to do to the show. You might have heard that I want to start another channel. We'll see, dude. I want to drive myself crazy, making it more personalities. But I really appreciate that, sir. One more time. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. And it's always a pleasure to have you on. Spring is great, too. I appreciate everyone that comes on. But I'm sure, because I see you and Spring both want to have other people on, too. You know? So. Yeah, so if there's anyone who's a lib who wants to call in, let 1,000 channels bloom. Dude, I hope so. I hope so. We'll see. I want to call it. I'll talk about it another time. But this is really something, man. This is there's a lot of racial caricaturing. Oh, what's gonna happen? This poor country. I don't like. At the end of the day, I don't know. I guess maybe it's because I'm a freak. Because I'm a outsider insider. You know, I'm not exactly American, not exactly not. You know, they're like, oh, you're American, but not really. Okay, that's cool. So I see America, and I think I understand it better than the average American. Same with Venezuela. I think I understand it better than the average Venezuelan because I'm outside of the water, but I'm inside of it too. And I look at it, and I'm like, this is a great country. The people here are so nice. Why are you guys tearing each other's heads off when clearly the problems, not to get too Marxist, and they're up there, you know? J-Boss says, it's performance for their in-group. That's the caricature you're seeing in these videos. Oh, no. I meant this one, dude. I don't even want to show it on screen. But like this kinds of caricature. This is what I mean. Where you see these online. And it's like, oh. Just look at them. And I'm like, listen, man. I love the black people. I love the white people. I love the Hispanic people. I love all. I think we could all at least not kill each other. You know, maybe not get along, but at least not kill each other. Maybe we could do something. Let's check this one out, and then we'll get the hell out of here. See what happened here. No, not this one. Let's check this one here. This one really is the darkest.
Get my face on camera. We kill crackers. Where I come from, we kill them. And if I ever see you outside of Texas, you gonna have a problem. Yup. I'm gonna wrap you up in that flag and I'm gonna set it on fire. I like the smell of burning flesh, don't you? Don't you? Don't you? See, the time of you having fear on us is over, cracker. It's over, cracker. We ain't scared of you. We gonna do some Nat Turner shit on you, motherfuckers.
And you see, that's where I really go, what are we talking about? First of all, it's a LARP if you mean it. But secondly, and I extend the same grace to the whites, where is the line between racism and mental illness? This guy's crazy. This guy should be committed for being crazy. Are you racist or just crazy? I think you're just crazy. You're talking about you love the smell of burning flesh. I love the smell of a lot of things. I love the smell of a watermelon. I love the smell of a grape. I love the smell of a pomegranate. I love the smell of an orange. Of the smells that I really like, I can't think of human flesh burning wrapped in a flag as even making the top 100. Why would you say this? This is crazy. Hey man, but even the Mona Lisa's falling apart. Let's get the hell out of here. What do you expect? Walking around like a goy. Tomorrow I'm going to make that video, dude. I love that rabbi. He's like the best. He's the best. He's very funny. Tomorrow probably won't be a call-in show depending on, because this was just the case that I really wanted to get people's opinions. But if you're new here, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Join us on Patreon for $5 or $20 a month. You get the King Leo Movie Club as well as Bajulardi and Film History. And we're going to do something else there at some point. Again, I'm warning everyone early. I think next week I have to head up to Melbourne for something. So we might miss like 2 shows. But, yeah, no. I'm excited about it. These last trips I've done them all with electric cars. I've never driven them before. I want to buy a Kia EV6. I want to lease it. Or a Tesla Model 3 long range now. But the Model 3 long range, the Teslas are just so crappy in quality, you know? But they're cool. And the full self-drive is not perfect. Anyway, I'm saying that because I'm going to try out the Mustang, the electric Mustang. So, I appreciate everyone tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Join the Patreon, everything. Links are in the description. But make sure you subscribe. That's the thing that helps the most. Go watch Alex the Mechanic. Go watch the shorts. We have a new shorts whole setup here. Analytics on Alex the Mechanic. Robbie, are you the one who leaves the funniest? Dude, my producer's like, how does he come up with this stuff? It's like the most chud comments ever. Let's check over here. We're still at where I'm trying to really grow him now is on Facebook. And I added him to Facebook. I just don't know how to use Facebook much. We're still in that 30 sub range. Unfortunately, that's just part of the YouTube channel. I've been thinking of buying one just to turbocharge these things, you know? But here he is. With these shorts, I gotta make sure that I like them. They have been rage baiting the shit out of people, and they've been pretty good. So it's good there. But yeah, I'm gonna bank a couple of these insane ones. Is it Robbie that does these? Let me see here.
Who is
Robbie makes the most? Yes, Robbie does the amazing comments. Liberals, dude, how do you come up with this? This has to be ChatGPT. There's no way you write this. There's no way you write this. All right, everyone. I will see you guys. Dude, it's so good, Robbie. Robbie, this is the funniest thing that whenever I see these, I'm like, there's no way this is real. And then I'm like, oh, it's Robbie. There's no way. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. See you then.
Change the world. My pride.